Okay, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well. So Terence Crawford becomes a two-weight undisputed champion, putting on a fantastic performance last night. We were witnessing greatness. You know, I was obviously, as a boxing fan, I think we wanted a better fight. There's no two ways about that. It was very one-sided. So, you know, disappointed in that respect. But on the other hand, when you are witnessing such a phenomenal fighter in our lifetime, it is remarkable, and that is what I took from that. I mean, he's on another level, like more levels up than anyone. And I was just thinking to myself, well, he hasn't really had a really close fight. You know, he's never been in an adverse situation really where he's had to, you know, I know he got hurt by Gamboa and Mean Machine kind of had him over, but really and truly he hasn't needed to pull out a dramatic win or get off the deck really, do you know? He's just been so pretty much dominant, and that's scary, do you know what I mean? That's scary because he's now done it again, the best fighter out there. The only champion left standing, undefeated, Errol Spence, the beast, the stronger guy. We'll talk about that in a minute because that was quite shocking to see how strong Crawford was. We talked about how strong he is, but I think the general consensus was that Spence was stronger, bigger, you know, and he would if he has got a chance to win this fight, he would break him down and do what he does. But Crawford, I don't know if you noticed it, I don't know what round it was, 2 or 3. They kind of locked horns, if you will, and Crawford just shoved him back. And I was like, okay. And then, you know, he was managing him in the clinches as well. His inside defense was really good, Crawford's. He had some guard manipulation back onto Spence. I'll pull up a couple of clips if I can. In the first round, I think Crawford probably, you know, lost that round, but in the sense, you know, of the same uploading that information is worth losing a round basically. But Spence probably nicked the first round for sure, and I thought, okay, we're on for a decent fight. In the second fight, you know, Spence was lunging in a little bit, he was reaching with that jab, his legs were quite wide apart, he was a bit off balance, he looked a bit more cumbersome than I've seen him, he looked a bit slower than I've seen him. I know he's not a fast fighter at all, but and perhaps Crawford was doing that, but Crawford's just distance, control, poise, you know, he looked so calm in the build-up. You know, the ring walks, and in the ring too, Spence looked a bit edgy, Crawford looked ready to go, and he fought just the most relaxed, comfortable first round. Look, Spence won the round, but you know, you could see who the more comfortable fighter was. And then in round 2, that counter punch, I think it definitely ended with a swivel jab, and then he dropped Spence, and Spence looked hurt. And it kind of reminded me of the Kell Brooks situation a little bit, where it was kind of a jab, but it was like, you know, from that moment Spence got hurt. I mean, Roy Jones was saying that when he got hurt in the second or third round, you know, he said he noticed a different color of blood coming from his face. Looked really, I'll show you a picture that I found. That this is obviously the pictures from later on in the fight, but his face just looking really deformed. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh my gosh. But he didn't look strong after the second or third round. And look, he kept trying. Spencer's a warrior, real warrior, and he had some decent moments actually in the third round. And in the third round, where he had Spence in the corner, and I'm going to pull you up a clip, but I bought the pay-per-view last night and I woke up this morning and I forgot to record it. What a rookie move, because I was going to, you know, take some shots or snapshots from there and try and show you guys and take a bit of time. That's why I'm a bit late doing this video, because I had to wait for it to come back on, blah, blah, blah. And then when it came back on, it wanted to charge you again, $85. So I found this, and this is from someone who was at the fight. So, but there was a time in the corner where just Spence was, you know, digging to the body, doing what he normally does, getting busy, and Crawford was just relaxed, and his defense was amazing. and just like see the shots coming. It reminded me of in the Matrix, right, when Neo is just so good. He's so many steps ahead of Mr. Smith in that last scene where he's just doing it with the one arm, you know, like that. It's just the computer programming processor can just operate at such a higher speed. It's like going to, or like you know, like in some random Wi-Fi cafe where the internet's crap, or going to your house where it's just, you know, you can just load up your page. That's the speed difference in the quickness in the mind. That's Crawford. You know, he's just so. I mean, I don't know how someone's going to beat this guy unless he's not too you know, outsized. Because if he fights Jermell Charlo at 154, that's never been done before him. If he wins those belts at 154, I know Jermell's got business with Canelo, but he'll keep his belts. That's never been done. 3-weight undisputed champion. I mean, I would after that performance, I'd probably favour Bud Crawford to beat Jermell Charlo, to be honest. But it's just, he was outmatching Spence in every department. It was quite scary to see how good he was. Relaxed, his power. I mean, you know, Spence, it's hard to see, like, I mean, I've never seen Spence down. I even said in my pre-fight video, I don't think Spence will go down. I think he might get hurt. He went down, what, 4 times? Wow, amazing counter punching. Great jab, Crawford. Step back game was just, he was just out. He took Spence's jab away too. He was just out of range. The step back is the most powerful defensive move in boxing, in my opinion. And when you can master it and you're just out of range, and you have someone like Spence who really doesn't have many other options. You know, I know he can fight going backwards, but coming forwards, his offense is a bit basic. And when you can neutralize the basic, and he was double jabbing, and you know, he's getting a bit wild with that backhand as well. Crawford saw all of this again, like that Neo Matrix. He could just see it like this, compute everything. So relaxed, beautiful performance, unbelievable performance. You know, like, it also reminded me of, I don't know if you've seen that, changing the subjects, the Maradona documentary, where he just basically, you know, used to go out and party for 4 days and just get up to all sorts of, you know, nonsense, and show up training and still tear it up. That's like, you wonder if Bud Crawford, he's so good, if he just barely got any sleep for 4 days, he could probably still beat Terence Crawford. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. It's like, he's so good and he's so talented. He's like that Messi, Maradona, you know, LeBron, whatever, Michael Jordan. Just in that category. It's like, they don't need to be at their best, but when they are, they just wipe you out. It's hard to see who can compete with these people, because they are just remarkable athletes. We're witnessing greatness, to be honest with you. It's an absolute pleasure. And I would take that over a good fight, really. I mean, obviously a good fight is extremely entertaining and we love it, but in our lifetime, when we watch Bud Crawford fight, us as boxing fans, we're going to say, yeah, I was around for that. I saw that fight. I saw this fighter develop and come through, and it's just like, he's just an amazing fighter. And he didn't even really get out of gear 2, you know? He did not get out of gear 2, maybe like at times when Spence was pressing him in the corners and stuff like that. He might have had to up his game a bit, but it was so scary how many more levels he could have gone to, you know? And then Spence kept trying, and then, you know, when Spence started to hold a little bit, and I don't think I've seen that before. Maybe he has done it, but it's a rare sight for Spence to start holding. He started to, because he was getting countered. That old thing, you know, what happens when Mayweather used to counter fighters. You know, they used to get a little gun shy, and Spence they were just boxing at one point. I was like, he's not gonna. It was like round 6 or 7. They was just in the middle. Spence didn't really want to pressure him because he kept getting countered. Because he got caught with a beautiful uppercut on the ropes. Because he came in, he was a little wide. I did speak about the uppercut, although I thought it would be used as maybe stepping under his jab and up timing him like that. So it didn't really come into play like I thought. But Bud had every punch in the book. you know, and he was using an active high guard. He was using that Philly shell, like Floyd again, you know. Just has so many ways to fight, defensively and offensively. I mean, it's just the amount of strings in his bow is just endless, you know. And he's the kind of fighter that, you know, wants to get better as well. He's obviously now, he's got that, well, not now, but we know how strong he really is now. So the physical strength, his clinch game, I underestimated that, to be honest with you. I thought that was where Spence could have an advantage, but yeah, witnessing greatness. So speaking of, if he does take on Jermell Charlo, 154 undisputed fight, I know they're talking about a rematch. Spence has activated the rematch. Shout out to the guys at my gym. There's this guy, trainer Blimp, and he was like, really kind of caught my attention because he was like, he's going to destroy him. And I was like, he said, there won't be a rematch. And I was like, really? Okay. And obviously there still might be a rematch, but it's not really rematch worthy, is it? To absolutely destroy someone. You got Spence who's always going to take it, but we've got to look at his health at the moment, to be honest, because he took a beating, you know? That's a beating. And I feel for him a little bit, do you know what I mean? I really do. Good kid, very likable guy, Errol Spence, you know? Like from his demeanour and his attitude. I know there was a bit of spice building up, but that's part of it. And but you do worry about someone psychologically, and not to mention physically as well, because of all the car crash and stuff. And I addressed that in the Ugas fight. I didn't think he was past that. And then I didn't address it in this fight because I thought, well, the Ugas performance was so good. I know he had that weird moment where he was looking for his mouthpiece, but outside of that, he looked incredibly strong. One of his best performances. So I just thought, you know, that chapter was done. And I don't know if it is, but the way his face looked and the way his face looked the day after, and just like what Roy Jones was talking about the blood, you know, there being a different color and stuff like that. And you know, rematching someone like Bud, who can probably take it up levels, is dangerous. Do you know what I mean? But he's a warrior. He's a warrior who's going to want to do it. But would you really give Errol Spence a chance now? What can he do any different? What can he do to beat Bud Crawford? Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't see he's got any chance in a rematch. I mean, they're saying they're doing it at 154. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But Bud is just, we're witnessing greatness. And, you know, some people compared it to Mayweather-Gatti. Yeah, I get that. Or Mayweather Chico Corrales. You know, just a major blowout. And then Tuesday, obviously, we had Ionui, just a major blowout. That's what you do. You know, I've spoken, I don't really talk about pound for pounds, but if you want to talk about best fighter in the game, that's what you do. When you're in a high stakes situation, belts are on the line, undisputed, eyes are on the sport, and you blast somebody out in a dominating performance, and you look great doing it, and you look almost unbeatable, then that's how you, that's for me, that's the, you know, because pound for pound is very subjective, but that's the one way you can really announce yourself as, look, I'm the best. So, you know, credit to Bud Crawford, credit to Errol Spence. I hope he comes back. I hope he, you know, isn't get, I don't know, too psychologically emotional damage from the backlash or whatever. I think he won't get backlash. I don't mean that, because I think generally I think he's quite adored in the boxing community, you know, because he's just this low-key demeanor, just fights and, you know, throwback fighter. So hopefully he doesn't get too many trolls, you know, those boxing internet trolls, but he'll be fine. He's a warrior, man. He's dealt with far worse stuff than them, but he did get embarrassed, you know what I mean, in his hometown, and took a beating, a massive beating. But we'll see. But anyway, I hope you guys are well. Got a couple more videos coming tomorrow on Ionui against Tapales, and we'll talk about this Devin Haney and Regis Prograis fight. And I've got a ton more projects coming. They're all going to be a bit over the place. So stay tuned. And yeah, I hope you have a great week. What is it, Sunday today? Yeah, have a great week. Hit it hard. And shout out to all the subscribers. Thank you for tuning in. As always, I really appreciate it. If you're new, hit the like button or subscribe. I'll see you soon. Peace.
boxing.
On the edge.